All right, so as promised, here's part 2. Oh, got something on my glasses. Of getting the 64 Chris Craft together. We had broken up because we had a million pieces. So this is the intro to the next video. I hope you guys enjoy it, and we'll see you at the end. All right, so the stringers are set now. The cross frames are in, and they're screwed down. Now this is the check stage here. This is what we're doing, because we want to make sure that we don't have excessive gaps on the ends, and I only have 2 that do have excessive gaps, and I'll show you here in a minute. But I work from the inside out. I do the bigger stringers first, screw into that. We use the fender washers to pull everything down, and then I go to the outside. And when you do that, you see they're sitting right on them. Most of them are sitting right down on where they need to go, so we're pretty good. Now we'll pull the screws out later, because we're going to put structural putty in there to epoxy it down on most. And this one's got a little flex, but it's not a big deal. It's very low, so the structural putty filled in. This is a little tight, you can see, because I puckered the washer here. You don't want to have them that tight, because you can strip them out when you do that. Now this one we're going to pull out and fix, because it's got a significant gap here. If you take a look, it's a pretty good sized gap there. And what it is it's not, you can tell it's seated. We got to pull it down a little bit more here to get it level. When we pulled it, you see it's twisted. It's higher on this side than this side. So what we'll do is we'll get back in here, we'll level it out, get it a little bit lower so it'll pull lower. And the same with this one. It's got a pretty good gap on it. Not as bad as the other one, but enough to go in and fiddle with it just a little. And then over here on this side, we got a little bit of a gap. Again, not bad, but it's a little flexy, so we'll just trim it up a little bit. See how the screws have to come out anyways to epoxy everything down, but then everything else is pretty close enough for government work. This one's up a tad, so we might touch that one just a little bit. And once we have them, they'll all be seated. We're not going to put screws in the side ones, because the thing that we're screwing into is fiberglass, and I already tried it on this one over here, and it pulls out if you got a little bit of flex. But then when we do that, we'll be good to go. We'll epoxy them in. We'll cut the interior ones here for the engine bay compartment, and then we'll have everything ready to the point to where we can squirt it with some bilge paint, get it all consistent. Then we'll be ready to run our interior underneath stuff, drill out our weep holes. Might do that before we do the painting, so some of the paint gets in there, and then move on to getting the deck down on it. Right, so that's where we are with this. Not a big deal. We're getting there step by step, so we'll be back for the next step. All right, so we got this first one done. We did it as a test one. This is the structural putty, and it's hardened. Look, it's right in there. It's nice and tight. And we use tie wraps on the ends, because we can't put screws, so they pulled out if there's any tension. And then we have it here, it's squished out the sides. So this, this ain't going anywhere. It's in there. So we'll do the rest of them like that, and then we'll show you the results of it, but they're going to look just like that one. They're not an issue at all. And the structural putty makes a nice bedding for the stuff. It sticks to it, adheres to it really well, sticks to that epoxy coating that's on the wood. And we'll have those in. Like I was telling you earlier, this S2 right here can stay in. It's not within the motor's area, so we'll leave it in there for strength. We're just going to remove S3 and S4. We'll cut them in there, and the motor sets right in there. But we're gonna pull the seats down. We're gonna put the seats in it, so that we can get the location of where the shifting bar goes and where the rod needs to run, to make sure that that lines up right, and to put the back in so we know where the floor needs to terminate, because we don't have to go all the way back with the floor. We can terminate it just a little bit past where the seat sets, and then we'll have access to the rudder and the things that are back there, so not a big deal. And we'll get that in there. We'll place the engine with its mounts and get it temporarily hooked up. The thing, make sure everything lines up correctly, and then we'll pull the motor out again. We'll get the floor in. This is after we do the bilge paint, right? We'll do the bilge painting first once we get this all epoxied in. and it'll look really nice. It'll be structurally sound. We'll have a nice floor. And then we just got to figure out what we're going to cover the floor with. Do we going to do a gel coat over it? Are we going to put a fiberglass sheet down and then just paint it? Do we just paint it over the wood? Do we put down some kind of marine carpeting on it? But we'll figure that out when we get there. But we'll have that all together. Then we can move our attention to, once we got everything laid out and the floors are done, we move to the hull to clean that up, and to the surface pieces here to clean that up. We'll order a new windshield. And whereas we won't have this done by the time the season's up for this, we should have it ready for spring though, because we won't have to do a gazillion epoxying jobs. Have to do some epoxy painting, but you can do that in a little slightly colder conditions. We'll get that all figured out. We're close. We'll keep moving on it. All right, just wanted to update you. We'll show you the finished results when we get the other stringers in and where we sit. We'll be back in just a moment. All right, so we got everything all puttied in. We used a structural repair putty. Yeah, polyester resin with fine fiberglass in it, so it's a very fine, like cat hair that you want to use on automobiles. You catalyze it with MEKP. You do about 1 to 2% based on volume for catalyzing it. So, you know, 10 to 12 drops for a nominal amount. Okay, we got everything in, and all we did was we just put putty in where the notches are. We put putties on the end. You can see where this one is already dry because we did that one first as a test run. And then we just went and finished all of them to see that they're wet. When you mix this stuff, it starts out as a turquoise, but then when you get the mech in there, you know when it's really mixed, because it'll get cloudy. You'll get a cloudy turquoise on it. It's pretty easy to tell. And you just fold it into itself back and forth. We tied each of the ends down, with the exception of that one way over there because I ran out. I'll probably throw a weight on it, but everything else is tied down. So once this is together, this won't move. We'll come back and we'll cut station S4 and S3 out. Those are the only two that have to go out. S2 doesn't. The motor will fit in there, so we're going to leave that there in for floor support and tighter support, and we're good. We're good. We'll go ahead and we'll let that dry. We'll come back. We'll re-drill the weep holes to make sure that everything's coming out. If we nick wood, we'll go ahead and we'll treat it so that water won't get up there and rot it. And then we'll move on to fitting the steering. I've already said this already. And we'll figure out where we need to put the push rod and how much floor we need to do. We'll put both seats in it just to get an idea where everything lays out on that. Once we got all that done, we know where the holes are in the bulkhead right here for the shift rod to come up and for the steering to come through. We'll pop one in and we'll run a PVC conduit up to run wire to the back and into the engine compartment and up into the front. Once we do that, get everything all ready to go, we'll hit it with bilge paint. I got all the materials that came in. We're just going to use a sprayer and spray it on. You can brush it, you can, you know, roll it, or you can spray it. We have to spray thinner. We got wax and prep things so it all sticks. Won't stick. No, so it will stick. We'll clean it all off. We'll vacuum it out. We'll clean it out and dry it off real good once we're ready to go. All right, but they're all in, and we're about to move off from there, so stay tuned. That'll be the next thing that you see. All right, update time. We've gone in, we've got everything epoxied in. Everything came in really well. They're all pinned down really nice. We've cut the two center ones out that need to come out, and we put epoxy sealer on them, as you can see right there. We've got the weep holes drilled. You can see one right down there if you look real close. Another one over there, and there's one in the back over there, so that when water in the back as it comes forward can drain forward and get into this forward compartment here where you see the drain nozzle and where we're going to put the bilge pump. Okay, so the next step we're going to do is we're going to drag this out. We're going to clean it out, give it a good spray with the hose, get everything out, get all the water out, get everything, let it all dry up, and get ready for bilge paint. And then we'll go ahead and we'll hit it with some prep so it'll stick, clean it up nice and good, and then we'll spray it with Total Boat white bilge. I got white bilge, so we'll make it all white. We'll get it all nice and white. Then we'll go ahead and we'll do the steering. We'll get the steering in so we know where it routes. We can get holes punched in that to where it needs to be. I've got the 2 seats out here. I'll show you. These are the fiberglass seats for it. This is the front seat. This is the back, and the engine compartment will come more or less to the back edge of this. This is the back seat that goes in there, and there's cushions that overlay it. So we probably won't do much here. We might paint them up a little bit with some heavy filling primer just to fill some of the cracks, but they're in really good shape in terms of their structure. So we're going to pop those in so we can get a reference, because remember what we need to do there is on the back seat, we want to mark it to where the floor is going to go. We want the floor to end just behind this. He doesn't have to end all the way. That gives us access into the back to do what we need to do there. Then on the front seat, we want to put it in so we know where it is, so we can locate where we're going to put the shift lever for forward and reverse, and make sure that we can run the pull to the Paragon shift control arm on the thing. We'll go ahead and we'll place the engine. We'll go ahead and shim it up with 1/4 inch pieces of plywood on the side and its angled mount brackets, just to level it up everywhere to make sure that everything's going to hook up right. And once we've done that, we'll get that in there. We'll get the conduit for the electrical in, and then we can go ahead and we can get the floor buttoned up. Get that, probably a gel coat that or something like that. Something real durable. Maybe a top coat paint or an epoxy based paint on the wood once we get it down. To do that, we're probably gonna screw it down. We'll countersink it. We'll use countersink screws, and we'll screw this down rather than epoxy. So if we need to get under for some reason, we can pull up sections and do that. It's probably going to go in 4 sections. The back piece, 2 side pieces that'll go on the side here next to the motor, and then the front piece. So 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces of the floor. And we'll put carpet over it or something like that in the very end after we seal it out with whatever whether we use gel coat or whatever, to make sure that it's waterproof. So it'll cover all the little seams that'll be there. It'll look nice. It'll be nice. Then we turn our attention to the hull, windshield, and getting all the wires back hooked up, all that type of stuff. So that's where we're at. Hang tight. We'll be back with some more. You're right. Good morning. Bright and early on what is this? July 29th? Oh, it's my son's birthday. I gotta wish him happy birthday. Anyways, just a quick update on the boat here. We go ahead and we place the seats in. Of course, the floor isn't yet done, but we got the seats set in so that we can do what we needed to do, right? Because we got to see where we're going to put the shift lever, get approximation. I do have a drawing here somewhere with measurements on it, but we'll just put it in there where we want it. And then we got the rod that we got to come down through here with it. We're going to go ahead and we're going to get this in here. Find another weep hole, so we're going to put a hole in that one up there. But everything weeped out. We're going to clean them up just a little bit. But you can see where this is hitting right on the strut, so we can end the floor. I mean, the back section of the floor. That's not going to be a lot because we're not going to cover the shaft for the drive, so we have access to it because we got to change stuff. And the boat cover, we'll bring the cover down next, but I need some help with that one. Cover it. So we'll end the floor just a little bit behind that, so we have a little bit of sturdiness there. But that'll cut right in there, and then we'll go ahead and we'll mount up our shift rod. We'll make sure that the rod comes in and lines up at the right place. It has turnable ends on it, so we should be able to adjust the length on it a little bit when we do that. So it's coming along, and the next thing we'll do once we get those measurements is we'll go ahead and we'll get the bilge paint in. We're going to give it a good wipe down with prep stuff so everything sticks. Make sure we get all the dirt and everything off and out of it. Run the vacuum on it one more time, and we'll get the bilge paint in, and we'll get the steering run so that it's in place. We'll get the hole cut to make sure that we have the shift rod ready, and then we'll run our conduit up, and then we can go ahead and do our floor pieces. Somewhere in there we're probably going to have to mount the motor at least temporarily so that we have an idea to make sure everything is lining up correctly. So that's where we're at, and we'll be back with more exciting stuff at rebuilding this boat in just a little bit, so hang tight. Okay, so we got everything laid in here. I put the engine cover in, we got the 2 seats in so that we can draw references to where everything goes, okay? The reason we're doing that is we want to make sure that everything's going to fit. So if we have to make adjustments before we do paint or anything like that, we want to make the adjustments. But I think that we're probably pretty good. This is the shift rod. It's about, what, 6 feet, 7 feet long. It goes down and it hooks to that bar right there where that clevis pin is. And if you look real close, I don't know if you can see it from here, but there's some gray marks about where it's going to be on that main stringer there. Engine's going to fit right about here in about this area. You can see that we still see the back of the drive there. It'll be covered by floor, of course, as it comes up, and we do that. But everything's looking good. Everything is lining up where it's supposed to, it appears to be. When we do it for real, we're going to set the motor in. We're going to get it hooked up, actually. It'll come out again, of course, because we'll have to do that. But I want to drill the hole with the seats out and the motor in, so we directly connect the motor to the shift rod to the motor control for the transmission in the correct location. Let it come out, and then we're going to go ahead and for final, we'll run the rod up, we'll drill the hole, we'll run the rod up, and we'll hook it to it, and then we'll put it in so it's in the exact space where it's going to be, so we don't have to make any, you know, I don't want to drill 100 holes to hit it by guessing and measuring. We'll do it the empirical way by hooking it up and make sure it fits. Of course, we'll have the steering in at that point, so we know where to route it, and then we're just going to run the conduit up there, so that'll all be set. But now what we're going to do is pull it all out again, now that we got our references and we're pretty confident where it's going to go, and go ahead and finish up, get the steering in, get things set up so that we can get the motor mounted to the correct height and everything, so that we can go ahead and set the pin up and get that hole done, and then we'll put the conduit in, and then we're ready to paint. We'll come through, we'll clean it, we'll do the build paint on it, we'll come all the way up the side so we have nice fresh clean, and we'll then get the floor down on it, we'll get the covering on it, and we'll be ready to fly here real soon. So we're getting there, and then we'll clean up the hull, we'll clean up the top cap, and put a new windshield on it, all that good stuff. All right, so that's where we are. We will be back. Stay tuned. Alright, so we're at the part where we got to get this sucker clean so we can put some paint on it. So we hit it with some super clean to get the dirt off, and we will go from there with the power washer, and we'll do a little high-speed cleaning action. What do you think? Instead of me telling you about it, how about I show you about it? Alright, so here we go. Okay. Now we're gonna get it to drain. Hit it with a nice rinse with a regular hose so don't blast everything everywhere. And get it dry, and then we can hit it with the prep stuff to wipe it down. The stuff that's in the middle here is under fiberglass. It's stuck in, so that ain't going anywhere. So we're just gonna paint over the top of that. All right, so we'll be back with the painting of the bilge. All right, we're getting ready to paint here. So we're mixing it up. We've got about 18 ounces of paint. We're gonna start with that. We've reduced it by about a 10%, 12%, 13% ratio. We're gonna dip the viscosity cup in it, fill it up, and count how long it takes to make sure it'll get through. It looks to me like it'll be just fine, but we'll go ahead and do what they recommend. Let that fill up, and then we're gonna let it drain. 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005, 6, 1007, 1008, 1009, 1010, 1011, 12, 1013, 1014, 1015, 1017, 1018, 1019, 1020, 21, 1022, 1023, 1024, 1025, 1026, 1027, 1028, 1029, 1030, 1031, 1032, 1033, 1034, 1035, 36, 1037, 1038, 1039, 1040, 1041, 1042, 1043, 1044, 1045, 1046, 1047, 1048, 1049, 1050, 1051, 1052, 1053, 54, 1055, 1056, 57, 1058, 1059, 1060, 1061, 1062, 63, 1064, 1065, 66, 1067, 1068, 1069, 1070, 1071, 1072, 1073, 1074, 1075, 1076, 77, 1078, 1079, 1080, 1081, 1082, 1083, 1084, 1085, 1086, 1087, 1088, 1089, 1090, 1091, 1092, 1093, 1094, 95, 1096, 1097, 1098, 1099, 100, 101, 1102, 1103, 104, 1105, 1106, 1107, 1108, 1109, 1110, 1011, 1012, 1013, 1014, 1015, 1016, 1017, 1018. Okay, so what this tells us is that it's still too thick. We gotta probably half again is or the same amount. It's about twice as long as it needs. These are doing right around 50 seconds come out of the cup. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna pump in a little bit more reducer here. Hang this on the edge of this cup like that. And so I'm going to get this to the right viscosity, and we'll come back and we'll show you some painting. But that's how you do this for this particular gun. I got the Avanti. It's actually an air gun. It's just run electrically. So we're going to go ahead and do that, and we will be right back. Okay, safety gear in place. Let's get this set up. My butt. All right, let's get it set up. paint part. Maybe it's still too thick. We'll see. Oh, we still got solvent in here. Let's stay up on the edges. All right. We sprayed all the areas that'll be seen. There'll be a triangle board, a tip board that'll be up the front there, so we don't have to go all the way up. We can leave that kind of the dirty white that it is. Trying to get this rust a little off here. Well, we got the sides, we got the center. We have enough to go and do touch-ups if we want and hit a couple other areas. So what we're going to do is go ahead and clean up, let this dry, see how it comes out. And put you down for a second, see if I can't get this mask off me. There we go. Like I said, we'll go ahead and we'll let it dry, and we'll clean up, then we'll come back, and any area that we think we need to touch up, we'll touch up. I was contemplating doing the whole thing, but you don't have to, because it's all going to be covered. The only thing you're going to see is the center section here where the motor is when you do the flipping, and behind here when you after you have the seats in and you need to work on things. So like I said, there'll be a kickboard on the front portion up here that'll angle up, so you won't see anything there. We'll make sure it's bilge painted white, and we should be good. Right, we'll be back once it's dry. Alright, so meet the new floor, or actually I should say the new floor templates. What we did is we got 1/2" by 8x4 sheets of insulator board. The reason for that is they're pretty cheap. They're only about $20. When you get into marine plywood, it's much more expensive than that. And so you want to get your template set up with this. It's also easier to work with. You can cut it with an X-Acto knife, and you don't have to play things around. So what we're going to do with it is, the width of the boat is over 48 inches everywhere, except till you get to the front, then it shrinks down. So we got to use it lengthwise in order to get the appropriate widths in there. So that gives me a 4-foot section, right? Because we have to go to the width length of it in order to get the boat. So this will be turned sideways in the boat, right? So if the truck Laverne represents the boat, we're going to turn it this way. We're going to get our length, and then we'll have a 4-foot section for our length that goes up, right? Because this will be the length, and this will be the 4-foot section from where we put it when we have in the back. So here's what we're going to do with that. Let's go ahead and go around and get into the boat. At least get set up to do that. Turn as I jostle you, give you some real action here. Make some noise. Right. Got a marker. Sorry it takes so long for me to get in the boat because of that arthritis in that right knee. So we're going to start from the back here, right? And if you remember, we don't have to go all the way to the back for it. We know that we have a 48-inch width. So let's go ahead and put 48 here. Right there. And so I'm going to go from this first cut part right here where we have it. I'm going to set 48 right at the center so it'll line up, and then we can go forward with that. And we're going to take and we're going to mark back here with a marker where it hits. Let's just make sure we're where we want to be. Yep. And we're going to mark it. So we know that we can place the edge of the board once we get the right width right there. Let it go forward And then we'll be able to come up with a knife and just cut around the inside to get the shape of it, right? And then we'll do it again here. It'll just be backwards. It'll be this piece first and then that. And I am going to cut S2 out. It doesn't have to. The engine won't go that forward, but we're just going to go ahead and cut it out because you've got the bulkhead that provides the interior strength, so you're not going to lose anything when we do that, and it'll just make it a lot clearer, a lot easier. So let's go ahead and set that at the center. Mark this one. We're only going to mark the 2 interior ones so we can keep it square. Go right to there. Okay. So we'll cut that piece out. We'll bring it in and set it up. Let me go ahead and cut it out. And get our widths. I believe we're consistent through the first part to 55 inches for a total width here. It stays pretty much the same, but we'll update you once we go ahead and cut it, because I need 2 hands to do the measurement across there. So hang on tight and we'll be right back with placing and cutting the board. Okay, so we simply cut it out. We just cut 55 inches in width, so that's the maximum width. We know it gets a little bit thinner at the back. You can see it's poking up in the back here, and it's down in the front. So what we did is we put a little black mark right where it's starting to make contact, right there. Hopefully you can see it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take it out and we're going to measure a 1/2 inch over on the back, and we're going to draw a line to it and go ahead and let it fit in on it, because we know that we're a 1/2 inch long, because back there it's 54.5, and we'll go ahead and we'll verify it. But that's what, when we do that, it should be pretty close. We may have to do a little bit more trimming, but once we get it down, then we can cut the interior section. Then we'll do the same with the next piece for here, same way, because this one's going to curve in a little bit more on this section. So we'll have to go ahead and take care of that. But let me go ahead and do that, and then we'll come back and show you the results. Okay, first floor section. You can see where it's still hopping up. That's because it's bowed in the middle. 2 reasons for that. It's not flush down tight because the corners here, see how they're bending down a little bit? You need to pull them up just a little bit. Push down and nail down the centers and get everything level. This is still just a little wide on the corners there, but that's not a big deal. We'd rather cut the piece of plywood a little big, and then we'll take a sander to it on the edges and just keep gnawing at it until we get the fit we want. But here's what it'll do. This will lay flat. Let me get it in there. We'll have this section. Now we're going to do the same thing, but reverse. Cut another piece at the widest. We'll trim it to fit. We'll put it in here to finish off this section. It should come right to these marks right here for 4 feet from the center of that. And then all we'll have to do is the front piece, and that one will be the pain in the butt one because it's got the curvature on it. But how we're going to do that. So we'll go cut that other piece. Same technique. So we'll just measure the maximum width and then go ahead and trim it to fit. Get it close. Leave everything a little bit big when we do the final boards, and trim them up to fit a little bit tighter. All right, but that's where we're at. So hang tight and we'll show you the next section. Okay, so this piece had a curvature to it on each side. So I found out what the differences was at like 4 different points in terms of what the distance, because it starts narrower at the back, gets a little wider, and then comes back in narrower. Starts at the back and then comes back in narrower. Found the total distance, split it in half, and trimmed each from those sides. Drop right in. Look at that. So now what we got to do is just cut this up like we did before to the bulkhead, and we're ready to go. So let me pop that one. Well, I got to get over there. Let me go get over there. We'll cut it out, and then we'll show you the finished piece. Here, I'm just going to cut it with the knife on the railings like I did with that one. So no big deal. We'll show you that in just a second. Hang tight. Okay, there it is. Well, until we get to the front, that's got lots of curvature. So I need to think about how I might do that. I'm going to have to measure it starting from this top point here and just go around to where we're going to end and take different points, and then we can draw the lines on it. Get the total difference in distances and divide it by 2. But that's going to give you a good view there how that's going to look from there. Could come out pretty good. Of course, these are templates, right? These are what we're going to use to get the plywood. It'll be 1/4 inch plywood. Those are 1/2 inch thick. So it'll be thinner and it'll set right down. So we're close. Alright, we'll do this one and we'll be back. Okay, so we're on the last piece here. And so here's what we did is I took another piece that I have because I didn't have any wide enough. And we measured out the base where it's going to fit up against the other pieces at 53.5, something like that. 53.5, yeah. And then we just found the center line of it. We drew a center line straight across it for that width. And then we went from the center line, I went from 12 inches to 24 inches, and then another 6 inches where we're going to terminate it. And measured from the center line on the boat out to where it hit the wall, got that measurement, and then we just transferred it to here, and then we just drew a line, right? So here's the curve of the side of the boat. Here's the curve, the side of the boat, and then it's just going to be terminated across the top. So we're going to cut this piece out, and then we're just going to go ahead and we're going to drop it in, and it should be hopefully perfect. I guess we'll find out here. So let me go ahead and cut that out, and we'll drop it in and we'll show you. So hang tight, we'll be right back. There we are, cutting in, and it works pretty good. A little gappy on this side, just a tad bit, but we'll center it. We'll make sure it's centered, and it won't be quite so gappy. But it's not a big deal though, because we can put the structural putty down on the side gap. And when we cut it on the wood, we might actually gap it. Might actually cut it at a 45 or something. When we put it in, we'll make the bottom side of the template be the length it's supposed to, and then cut it up at a 45 or a 30 or a 26 or something, just so we put a gap in there, and we'll put epoxy, either epoxy or the structural putty in to secure the corners to the side of the boat. Or we'll use flex epoxy, which will flex a little bit as it expands and contracts, expands and contracts. I don't know if these were permanently attached when they were first done. We'll have to do a couple things, like we're going to put an access hole with an access cover so we can get to the linkage, and so we can get to the bilge pump there. And we'll probably put maybe a little access hole in the back there in case we need more space to get to the rudder, but I think the rudder will be exposed. So this is the templates for that. All we got to do now is transfer it to the actual wood, and once we have the wood in place, we'll tack it down with screws just preliminarily, and we're going to set the motor so we can get the motor all aligned and everything like that. Make sure everything's kosher, everything looks good, everything's going to work. And then we'll put the shift rod in to make sure that it comes out at the right place. We'll put the steering cable in to make sure it comes out at the right place, and we'll run a conduit for the electrical that comes in. Once we do that, we'll pull everything up and out. We'll go ahead and we'll run all that type of stuff to get it all ready to go. And once we have all that stuff more or less together, then we could screw the floor down on it, and we could do the finish work on the floor. So we'll have 3 seams we'll need to cover. This seam here, well, 2 seams actually, and then the seam that goes across the center. And they'll be covered. We'll probably do a carpet over the wood or something like that, or we'll do gel coat, but we'll make it match. It'll look pretty nice. It should come out pretty good. So there's that section in there, and next up we'll be tracing the templates onto the wood and getting the wood placed in there. Okay, so we'll be back when we've done that. So hang tight. Okay, so we did a mock-up here, right? I put the front seat in, it's just sitting in there on pins to hold it on top of this, and I put the engine cover, and we don't need the back seat. We know the back seat comes out right to where that cross member is, where it ends, sits there. So what we did was, when we made the template, we cut it off there, but it needs to add 10 inches. No big deal. When we go to do that, I'll mark the thing saying plus 10 inches, and we'll have it do that so that the cover will cover that hole. It gives leg space of about, I don't know, probably right around 10 inches for the people who are going to be in the back of the boat, and we get the cover positioned where it's supposed to be. The other thing it shows is we have an opening down here. When we do that, and we may, I'm fussing with just leaving it like that or making that part of the floor removable, because we've got the pieces, the frame pieces that we cut out. What we can do is we can block it at frame level, at the top of level there, and there, and drop in a piece that will be removable, because that's where the battery goes. We're going to put a battery box in there up above the floor, but sitting in there so it's down in the bilge area. And if we don't want to be looking at it when you're walking around, we'll go ahead and do that, and you'll be able to easily get to it just by lifting the cover, pulling that board out, and you'll have it there. The back is open and exposed. Now on the sides we'll make little indents for little side pockets, right? So that's the way that these are done. It'll be a little piece that'll come out at about halfway up, go underneath here, and be a little spot where they can stick things on both of this and on the back seats too, because they'll be there. But this I'm contemplating, I may just leave it open with the floor piece on it, because it won't look that bad. And we can hang things in here, like a fire extinguisher, small paddle, and some of the other stuff that'll be stored behind the seats. We can also put these on there, these type of things, on the back of this, right, or on the front of it, and then we can put a board across, and you can put little make a little vinyl or canvas or something where you snap it to the floor, and just, you know, hide this area when you want to do that. That's all the interior stuff that we'll do. But we mocked it up so we can see where everything comes out. Everything looks like it's going to be okay. Like I said, there'll be a tilted board that'll go from the end of that board up, angle up for your feet, and it'll cover up that area. That's the way that it was done on the boats. So the mock-up showed us that we need to put the extra piece back in here to cover that up. That one you can't remove because it's got hinges that come down and connect to it. So if you want to get into that, you're gonna have to reach up and under, or we can cut a hole in it, put a cover piece on it, and you know, they make those little plastic ones, access ports for the boats, and so we can get to that. We may also cut this between the two inner rails. You may cut a little semicircular out just to give us a little bit more space. You can get access to the, once you remove the seat, to the right, to the rudder piece, but we may access that because there's going to go a tank will be right there. From the two runners, you're going to put like a, I'm trying to remember, it was like a total of 11 inches. Those are 5, so another 7-inch pieces of 2x6 will come up on that. There'll be a flat board, and then the tank goes up in the air into the center part. So we'll do that, and we'll get that all ready for when we're doing the floor final pieces. But that's where we're at. We're in pretty good shape. I'm going to go ahead and get the plywood out here, and we'll go ahead and get the templates drawn and get a firmer base down so we can go ahead and work on it. We'll get this puppy rolling. All right, we'll be right back. Okay, so this contraption here is to see if we can extract the cable. This is the steering cable for the boat out of its casing, and the reason for that is it's not moving, it's stuck. So what we did is a little fixture here where we got a chain on a board, and under here you can see we've got this clamped so it shouldn't move. And what we're trying to do is get the cable to pull through. We got it weighted in case it decides to snap. I originally stuck that end of the cable underneath the door, closed the door, but it pulled it out from underneath it. So it'll either pop out or something will break, but we can't use it unless we can get it motional, get it moving. So we're going to go ahead and do that. I was originally going to do it a different way, but I couldn't find the parts I needed. So let's see if we can get it to pull a little bit. Seems to be holding. Not necessarily pulling, but holding. All right. A little bit more pressure on it. Try and stay out of its way. Okay, it's got some decent pressure on it. What I think has happened is it worked. I got it off the internet, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago for a different rope project, and it worked fine. Then it got stored, so it must have got some water in it or something. This can't be all grease holding it, so put a little pressure on it. See if it starts to break free. If it doesn't, we'll have to get a new one, like I was saying, because it's got to move in and out if we're going to turn that boat. Alright, so I'm going to do some tightening, let it sit, do some tightening, let it sit, then we'll come back out and we'll check it. So hang tight, we'll be back. Okay, we have success. It's pulling out. As you can see, it's starting to come pretty easy. Blanket off. And be able to tug it. Yep, there she goes. Right out. Which is what we needed. Because now we could service this cable jacket. Hit it with a bunch of solvent and some lubricant and then grease the cable. Get this sucker working again. Cool. Alright. I'm going to pick up from this and we'll come back and we'll show you the next operation. Alright, so we're cleaning this out and I've gone through it once already. And basically what we've done is, where is my stuff? Right over here. We poured Super Clean down it. If you guys don't know about Super Clean, you need to go get some of this. This stuff is great for dissolving and breaking down grease. It works really well, and it gets all the crap out. We poured a bunch of that down there, let it sit for a little while, hit it with a high pressure hose, and blew everything out. Then hit it with some brake clean to rinse it out, and then put some blaster in there and do it out. We're gonna go ahead and blow it out again to rinse it out. I then took the, look over here, the cable laying on the ground there, and I reamed it in and out, in and out, in and out, so that we used the cable to, and I sprayed the cable with this too, to act as a scrunchie to scrunchie it out. And what we'll do is, we'll go ahead and we'll hit it with water, then we'll get some more brake cleaner in it to displace it, and then some more blaster. Yeah, see, got water coming out the other end. Go ahead and we'll hit it with air, blast everything out. Turn it towards the end so you can see it. Right there. There we go. All right, now we're gonna go ahead and bounce you around some. We'll go ahead and hit it with some more brake clean, almost out of this can. Might as well finish it. And when I have the red straw on it, it'll squirt all the way out the end. This will just kind of dissipate and sit in there. Lift it up and show you again. Point you over there. See if we can't blast it out. Here we go. Yep. Got that all out of there. Now we'll go ahead and grab the blaster, EV blaster, right? Right in, it foams up, let it come down. Some more in it. Right. We'll go ahead and we'll do our hose trick again. Blow some air in it. And that'll distribute and really displace the water. Alright. Let's turn you back around this way. And let's go ahead and put the cable back in it. And we'll pull the cable out one last time. We'll give it a good wipe down with stuff. And then what we're going to do is just wipe grease on it for the last time to put it in there. So we got a nice clear pathway. Goes in nice and easy. Get a little bit more resistance as it gets longer, but it's still pretty easy to go in. Yeah, see, it's already out the end. Then I do this. Push it in and out. Ream it. So that's in pretty good shape there. Let me wipe my hands off. We're picking the camera up. So got that. Get that. So the last thing we'll do here is we'll pull it on one more time, put some brake clean on a clean rag. We'll clean it up all, get as much of the old grease off as we can, and then we'll take some lithium grease, some marine lithium grease. We'll put it on it and just, you know, put it in a rag or something in hand and pull it through it so it greases the tube, and then stick it back in, and we're good to go. And we got a working cable again. So we're in good shape. We're going to go put this on the old steering control because that one fits right in place rather than the one that came with it. And I should be able to get that directly hooked right up. I should be able to figure out how to hook the end up. This is a different end. This is meant actually for like an outboard, the through tube outboard to go and control it. But it's just a matter of arranging the ends so it'll work on it. So that's where we are, okay? And we'll bring you in on the next stage here. We're going to be doing that floor, getting the floors wrapped up here. So that'll probably be the next thing you see, but I wanted to show you getting that cable service so that we can use it. So we'll be right back with the next exciting clip for rebuilding this 64 Correct Craft American skier. Okay, the aftermath of what's left. You just trace the template, of course, and then I cut this end off. That piece right there was hanging out there just so I could make a straight cut, because that one was straight. And let's show you the end result. Just jigsawing the edges to get the curve, and then straight cut on the front piece. And that's where it ends. Fits pretty good. We'll seal these corners with some epoxy or something when we get it permanent. This is not marine grade because it wouldn't have the knots if it did. What I've got is easy fair coming, so we'll fair it and then we're going to seal it. Remember, this isn't going to go down raw. It's going to get sealed. There's some on the bottom too that will fill just to make sure that we have a good sealed surface when we put that in. So we're going to go do the other ones, pop them in there, and we'll show you the results when they're sitting in there. So hang tight, we'll be back. Okay, no magic here, but I thought I'd stop and show you. This is the one in the very back where we had to add 10 inches onto it. So all I've done is I just measured and add 10 inches there, and then drew the lines up to there, traced them, and then traced the lines up to here. I used the clamps just to keep it in place so it doesn't slide around. This one's up a little bit, but that's okay. And now what we'll do is we'll just take this off, and I may just use the circular saw for this one because this one is fairly straight, got a little bit of a curvature to it. So we'll cut on the well, the waist side is the outside of the line. We're going to go slightly to the inside because remember that was a little tight when we did it. So we'll just give that a shot. We'll see what happens, and I'll show you the outcome of it once we've got that done and we've set it in place, and you can see the whole floor in and ready for the next step. Right, so hang tight and we'll be right back. Okay, so all of them are in, as you can see. We got floor. Fits pretty good. We're going to try flipping them around here and there and see if we can get the best fit. Make sure we're we're aligned where we're supposed to. You can see, if you look at the mark right here, we're a little bit forward of it on these, and so this whole thing might want to slide back just a little bit. You can see here this was drawn to the edge of the bulkhead and it's hanging over. So probably what needs to happen is we'll pull these up and take a deadbolt hammer and get them onto the back lines, and then pull everything up tight and go for best fit. But they're in. So once we know which way we're going, sealing them up will be the next best. And then where we have these knot holes on the surface, because I want a level surface when we put stuff down. I don't want anything pooling. I've got Easy Fair coming, which is an epoxy-based fairing compound that we'll put in those smooth out. We'll do it on both the bottom and the top, so we have the thickness, correct thickness. This is 11/32 plywood. It's not marine grade. It's just regular. I was looking at the 1/2 inch sanded, which would have been real nice, but it was a little heavy. This is a good compromise. It's thicker than 1/4, and I mean it sags a little bit here where there's no support, so we'll put a blocking underneath here because it pulls forward. We've got those cut pieces from the station cross frames that we'll put in between here and just create a little support under that so it doesn't sag. Other than that, the edges will, once we put it in permanent, we'll fill them with either an epoxy or that structural putty compound, and then depending on how that turns out, do a little tabbing along the edges just to make sure everything's good and sealed. This is just, I'm not going to epoxy it to the stringers. It's just going to get, I'll snap lines and we'll screw holes using a tapered bit, and then put bronze silica screws in it across all the frames and down the stringers to secure the floor, and then cover them up with a little of the fairing compound. It'll secure it well, and then this will probably end up either gel coat it with a anti-skid or put marine carpeting on it. We'll see what happens. What's best for that. All right, so there they are fitted. I'm going to take you guys to the point to where we're just about ready to permanently attach it, because we still got stuff that's got to go underneath it, and we got to test fit the engine. And we'll terminate this video at that point when we're pretty close, and then we'll continue on with a new video test fitting the engine and doing all the finished stuff that we need to get it together underneath in the bilge area, and then up top. That one will complete with the engine being in place, ready to go. All right, we'll be back. All right, so we've gone ahead and we've treated all of these with clear penetrating epoxy sealer, so it's all soaked into the wood. I got the other two over there, but I'm going to show you on this one. We're going to use Total Fair, which is a fairing compound. It's an epoxy 2-part compound that you mix, and what we're going to do is we're going to fill the holes, the knot holes where it had, so that when we put this down, we don't have any points where it can be penetrated, and we have a consistent thickness. Let's get the wording right. For the flooring. And the reason that we want to do that is we want everything to be level, especially on the top side, so that when we do the flooring, it's smooth and we get a fairly decent finish. And on the bottom, we don't want to have it, creak or anything when you're stepping on it. We want to have it nice and firm. So we're going to make sure that we have a consistent thickness throughout that. And it's pretty easy to use. It's just a 2-part compound. Comes with different colors, and when you mix it up, it turns to a green. Got a blue and a yellow. I got to figure out how to get these cover pieces off here. There's the edge right there. I should probably be wearing gloves, but you know, I didn't put any on, so we'll run without it for right now. Shouldn't be a big deal. And so we're not going to cover the whole surface. We're just going to fill in the areas, the holes for the knots. And it's a lot like doing body work on a car or anything like that. You're just going to use the filler. Going to fill it. Call it good. That's got a lot on it. Let's clean that one off. Okay. Stick those together, it'll turn hard. Okay, and it's pretty easy. You're just gonna get I'm using cardboard as a matterboard. Gonna plop out enough. Probably like that much. A little bit more. Remember, it's 2 parts, so it'll be double whatever the mixture is here. Like that. The same amount here. Should really use 2 separate and not get them mixed, but blue and yellow makes green. Once we get it to all mixed together. That's all about the same. Cover the 2 back up, make sure they don't get nasty. Mix together, and then we're just going to use a squeegee to shuffle them on in. And so what we do is we just mix this up and get, it's blue and it's yellow, so it's going to make a green. Once you got a consistent green, you know you got it mixed. Just mix it up nice and good. Get all the parts together. Mix it thoroughly. Get a nice consistent green color across. You don't want little spots that aren't gonna harden for you later. It's like getting boogers on your fingers though. There's an image you get out of your head. Okay, let's wipe our putty knife here. Make sure that we got nice consistent green throughout the thing. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. Okay, let's take our squeegee. You start with this hole right here. Take a chunk of it. Put it in there. Pull it over. I'm going to overfill it a little bit so it'll stuff up. There we go. And then just swipe straight across. Getting off, we got that one filled. Go to the next one. Fill that one up. And this one's working a little harder because we're towards the end of the usable life of filling this. There we go. Right. We didn't make too much extra. But that's how you do that. Pretty simple process. We'll show you when it's finished. Take you off here. Walk you around and show you this one. You can see these a little better. You can still see the top, but it's okay because it's going to get covered with probably a gel coat. So you just fill in the little holes to make sure it's firm. Same with this over here. This backside didn't hardly need any on that one. And then these. So there you go. Okay, and then we'll be back with the finished product. All right, just wanted to show you guys quick. We went over all 4 panels. We just took a Braun orbital sander and we just knocked down the egregious high spots. We don't care that the stain's there. We don't even care that we have some low spots, because when we go to finish this, see, this is rougher here where just the wood is. We don't care if it's smooth, because we're going to probably use a gel coat over it, which is a thicker, polymer based covering, and it'll adhere right to this and it'll fill it. And then we're going to use some anti-skid on the top surface when we paint it, so it's going to feel rough anyways when you walk. So all we wanted to do is just strengthen a little bit. You got still some couple low spots, but it's not a big concern. We got everything mostly filled out here. So we're going to go ahead and fit these and mark them, because then we need to work on these. We're going to reduplicate these. These are the mounting pieces for where the adjustment motor mounts go, and I left the lower nuts where they are. You know, the fact that they're kind of rusted in place helped a little bit for mounting, so when we put it back up. But we're going to duplicate new ones of these because the bottoms are in bad shape, or it's got stuff poking through. You can see here where it's rotted out, and we'll use pressure treated 2x6 to do it. And we'll cut new ones out. We'll trace them and cut them on out and put new ones in there, and place these in and mark them where we want them when we get the fit that we want. And then we're going to snap lines to where the stringers are, so we can drill preliminary holes and put a couple screws in to hold it down before we permanently do it. I was contemplating not gluing them down, but I think we're going to do that because I don't want anything to move and squeak. So when we go to put them in for the last time, because they'll be in and out a couple times as we get the stuff underneath in the bilge area taken care of, we're going to want to put epoxy right down the stringers. We'll set them down and screw them down, and they'll be glued right on, and then we'll tab the edges to the hull, and the floor will be all set at that point, and then we'll just paint it, finish it, and we can mount the motor permanently. But we want to do the preliminary spacing on the motor to make sure that everything is lining up and everything's in good shape. So I'm going to go ahead and get these placed and mark them, and we'll show you that when we're done. All right, so everything's down, everything's covered, everything is in its place. Nothing's screwed down right because we still got stuff to do. These are the new mounts for the motor. We're going to go ahead and we're going to do some special mounting for that. Usually you would just go ahead and you'd get big lag bolts, and you'd stick the lag bolts right down through the motor mount portions of it, and through the wood into the stringers. But the way that I constructed the stringers, and I'm knocking all kinds of stuff off, was to do a laminated stringer, meaning I used 2 smaller pieces laminated with fiberglass and epoxy in the middle and put them together. So what we're going to do is we're going to put some, we're going to make metal mounts for where this attaches to, and the bolts will go down to the metal mounts and screw into the metal mounts, rather than going all the way into the stringers, because I don't want to crack the stringers down the middle you do that. The little screws, when we screw the floor down, no big deal. We can go ahead and do that. And we are going to glue it, like I said in the previous segment. I don't want it squeaking or anything. We're going to pull it down really, really tight. So you can hear it squeaking when I'm walking on it now as it settles in, so we don't want to do it. We put the rudder on. We made sure that we got the steering box and steering cable all set up. So we're able to put that in. But we're in good shape here. So what we're going to do is we're going to end this video here because we got a gazillion pieces to it already and a gazillion more to come. And we'll jump back in with the next segment, doing all the stuff that's underneath this, getting it all set, getting this so that the motor's all set so we can drop the motor in and we can put finish touches on the floors and get it all ready to go for the next step. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. If you do all that jazz for me, I would appreciate you. Really help the channel with some likes, comments, subscribe, and share the content if you're enjoying it. So we appreciate you guys. Thanks a lot, and we will be seeing you real shortly with another exciting video about restoring this '64 Correct Craft American skier.